Thinking. Here we are.
What?
Hello.
But I'm trying to share this on the Facebooks or Meta or whatever it's called now.
Toot toot.
Oh, it's time to ride the funk train, babies, without the funk. So, all right, here. Yeah. Anyway, hi, I'm Big Luke. That's Amanda or April Armando. What's your name again?
The girl not on the poster is what it is.
The girl not on the poster.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Amber, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to share things. I didn't make the podcast last week. I don't think you did either. So we're just having rotating casts on here. A good friend of ours should be joining us here in a couple minutes,
Yeah.
and you will recognize his voice from pretty much our all of anytime we need a voiceover guy, we go to him. So
He's fantastic.
yeah, and that's like I kept telling I wanted to be the voiceover guy. I wanted to do all the um you know the trailers and all the every time we have like a behind the music bit or something we do, I was like, I want to do the voice. And then Vinny's like, no, man, listen to this guy. So I listened to that guy. I was like, yeah, you're right. Cause I was going to do the old generic, like in a world where Amber tried to keep showing everybody her boobs. And so it didn't work. Okay, hold on. Why is that not showing up? Oh, we are live. So we're going to talk about some Halloween stuff. It's our Halloween episode. I've got some funny stories to tell. We have once done a Halloween episode before, Big and Funky have, and it killed our television deal with Fox.
Oh, that's exciting.
So that is always fun for me to be the
Hello. Hi, Joan.
yeah. And we got why the hell, and we got blackballed from wrestling for about a year and a half because of what I did, but I'll wait for Lance to get on here to tell that story. Okay, why it keeps showing me that Vinny Vineyard is live? Oh, there it is, and I couldn't share it. Captions are auto. It says captions are auto generated. I'm gonna have to go back and
It's
como
fantastic, actually.
como se llama? No se mueva su cabeza, mi amigo. Yeah. I wanted to translate the translations. So I've had a pretty good time since the last time I was on the podcast. I took my daughter up to Wisconsin, to where I took my son that last time. We did a podcast from there, and I'd like to tell everybody, it's real easy to say, you should spend time with your kids. It's you should. Everybody should spend time with your kids. But something happened, and I had that moment with Mikey when we went, and me and my daughter had. What you need to do is you also, besides just spending time with the kids, you need to have you need to spend like spiritual time. Where it's just you and the one of the kids. You can't. It's hard to do it with two kids or more. But you take individual trips with your kids, and when you do, make sure you watch this. Like me and my daughter sat on a pier, and we watched the sunset over the lake, and then we watched the moon get brighter, the stars come out, and we talked about philosophy and life, and it was a spiritual moment I share with my daughter, and that connection is she's 16, but it made us closer than we ever have been. So you got to do spiritual things with your kids, not just hey, took the kids to Dollywood.
Right. Absolutely.
Which I didn't know, and this is a weird thing. It's like with music around here. All the locals think that Rocky Top is like this huge song, like on the level of Free Bird, and and it's same thing with But I try to tell them, I was like, dude, outside of East Tennessee, that song does not get played on the radio. That song never got played on the radio.
No.
That is not a top hit song. It's not a classic that'll live forever. It's just the East, Tennessee Volunteers fight song. But like that, I have talked to so many people that are from like 2 states away, in any direction, and they're like, there really is a Dollywood. I thought that was a joke. I thought that was something off like The Simpsons or something. I didn't realize there's actually a Dollywood. But yes, there's a Dollywood.
There's a real Dollywood. I've been there. I've seen it with my own eyes.
You know, what was weird is I went there when I was a wee little lad. It was probably 1979, 1980, when my parents were still married. So I must have been 4 or 5 years old. And I remembered in my brain, I remembered things, but I had no idea where those memories were from. And then I lived here for 20 years. And then maybe 3 years ago, we went to Dollywood. And I remembered shit from when it was Silver Dollar City. I was like, oh, that's where that memory's from. That is so weird, you know. So,
Nice.
but anyway, it's spooky season, hence my name is Doo Doo Taint.
Are you gonna taint my ride later?
Yeah, you know it, baby. But you know, we should talk some paranormal stuff and some haunted stuff, and because we are. You know, somewhat known for being a paranormal team, even though Amber hasn't ever gone on a ghost hunt with us.
I'm going soon. I'm really
Very
excited.
soon. I know it's,
Soon.
you know, I think I've said this before, but what's really weird is people will say, you know, like the elitist ghost hunter people on Facebook that, you know, go to Waverly every 6 months. They'll be like, you don't understand. Ghost hunting is actually really boring. And all you're really doing is sitting in empty rooms being quiet. What fucking ghost hunts you went on, but that ain't what happens. All right, when Big and Funky go on a ghost hunt, it's a damn riot. Like, people love going ghost hunting with us. And the weird thing is there's a very thin line. And maybe that line we should make that line much thicker of it. We're also filming a TV show. So sometimes we go and we're fucking around and we forget that we're filming a TV show. And you're like, oh my God, that just happened. Where's the camera? You know, and I'm like, I'm usually I'm pretty much hey, Lance, what's up, buddy?
Woo! Hey, Lance.
All right, no audio, no video. All right, I got video.
I see him.
Yeah, but he
was double muted. That's my bad. Is that better?
Oh, yeah, much better. That you got to get that booming voice. Come on.
It's almost like I am on Zoom all day long at work and would know better than to be double muted. But hey,
yeah, that's true. Well, and while we're talking about ghosts, one just walked behind you in the background. It was.
I believe that is one of my collection of children. I could be wrong.
Well, I was explaining that, you know, people talk about ghost hunting being boring, but you said not us. Now, when we go ghost hunting, it's a fucking trip.
I'm actually glad you really mentioned that because I have something about that I want to speak to you about at some point. I have a potential opportunity.
I love potential opportunities. We are looking for more. As I thought it would. Wrestling with Ghosts season 1 got turned down got turned down for not for content issues but for quality issues, and that's fine. Season 2 will be airing, but season 1 had some great evidence, so we might do a best of and try to brush it up the best we can. But yeah, the quality wasn't great because I filmed it with our expert camera equipment was I think it was a Samsung Galaxy Note 5. So
what you got.
Yeah, we had a dork with us that ended up being a pedo. And he had the great camera, and I filmed everything. I wanted to do 2 cameras, and I filmed everything with my Note 5, and he had somebody else always filming something with his great camera. And we never saw any of that footage from his cameras. He never gave it to us. It was everything so we had to make the season out of my footage.
That sucks. There's nothing worse than having time invested and knowing it's out there and knowing somebody just doesn't care and it's just on a hard drive sitting there. That makes me so mad.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of the roasts, the Knox Comedy Roast, where we do the parody roast. A couple of those have got recorded and then just have never been out. That's the worst. Yeah,
I've got a entire. Well, there was for Hack. I was doing, and I try to do if I can. I try to go out and do commentary because he's got the Total Psychopathic Wrestling Roku channel, and I try to go out and do commentary for his shows, so he has footage for it. And like I've done 3, and I think only 1 is aired. And 1, I was so hammered drunk. It was Brad Cash's birthday party, and I was doing commentary, and I was just I bought the fruitiest shit I could find. I was like pink sangria I wanted it to be the fruitiest drinks you could possibly have. And I'm walking around carrying this pink bottle with confetti on it, and I'm just hammering it out of it. And before I know it, I'm just on the floor. But I mean, I was saying some shit. So I was like, I can't let that go. Because I was like, me and Vinny, and we'll talk about this later, intentionally buried wrestling in the area. I didn't do that on purpose with this one. Like I said some horrible shit. Like there was these 2 girls wrestling. I won't mention their names so I can actually say that. And I'm doing the commentary. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a female 2 making her comeback. Yeah, I'd come on her back.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, couldn't. I don't want to say who those females were. So it's because I respect them both as performers and everything. But so Halloween season.
Yeah.
I got a theory, and I've always said this. There's 3 types of people. Look at my big meat hands. There's 3 types of people when it comes to ghosts. There's people that don't believe in ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that believe in ghosts, and there's people that know there's ghosts. I kind of look at it that like God, that same thing with God. There's people that believe in God, don't believe in God, and know there's a God. So, Lance, what type of ghost person are you? Do you believe? Do you know? Or do you not believe?
I guess I'm the agnostic of that group. I guess I believe. I know that I'm smart enough not to know everything. So I'm willing to understand. Because when it comes to, again, like you mentioned, like religion, I understand people that don't believe. I understand the people that don't know. I believe for my own personal reasons. With ghosts, I don't have a personal reason to tell me this is what you should believe. But again, I'm smart enough to know I don't know it all and anything's possible. So I'm open to the option.
The beauty of agnosticism and an open-minded agnosticism towards things like religion and paranormal and everything is that you are willing to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
And that's because even though I had childhood experiences, we'll go into that. I still kind of pushed it to the back of my head and was just, I was a guy that believed there was ghosts. And then Wrestling with Ghosts came around, and there was a point where I was like, okay, now I know there's a ghost, because I've seen them. I've experienced them. I'll start with this. My first experience with paranormal, with ghosts, was I was about 13 years old. And me and my mom and my brother were looking for a new house. We lived in an apartment in Downers Grove. We were looking for a house in Bolingbrook, Illinois. And we were, probably about the 5th house. We go into this little, just unassuming ranch house in the middle of a neighborhood in Bolingbrook, Illinois. And all 3 of us walk in and go, no, and walk out. And you just walked in and felt evil. And I'm not one of those, it's evil demons kind of guys. But there was some evil shit in that house. And so that's when I was just like, yeah, I can't really deny that there's, I felt something. But then I come to later realize that was more of empath, not
just picking up the vibe.
Yeah. But I mean, it was such a strong vibe that my brother's fairly agnostic with everything, except for Elvis. He still thinks Elvis is alive. But he even, all 3 of us just walked in, took like 3 steps in, and we noticed when we got out that the realtor didn't come in with us to that house. So I think she tried showing that house before. So, but then, my mom is a knower. She knew there was ghosts. She had an experience or 2 experiences so she knew there was ghosts, but my mom never pushed anything. She wanted us all. She wanted me and my brother to find our own way in life. She never pushed. Yeah, she never pushed anything on us. She never made us go to church, so we didn't. So, but her parents forced her to go to church, which led her to hate religion. But so when I found out there was actually ghosts, when it was a real thing, the first step was the first investigation we did. We were at High Pitch Mitch's barn, and me and Vinny were screwing around. We were like, hey, this ghost stuff. Hey, he's going to grab my bobalones. You know, we're trying to figure out how we're going to make this funny. And we don't have the cameras on or anything. And from right in one of the horse stalls where there's no horse, it's full of hay, which is weird because we hear a little kid go, hey. And then we're like, well, shit. You know, this is going to happen. But then when I became a true believer was we went to, because like there's other things that were coincidental that probably, you know, any skeptic would go, but true believer was we went to the old La Follette post office, and you could see that. I want Vinny to, I think that episode's still up on our YouTube channel here somewhere. It's called Going Postal. And it was supposed to be a Facebook Live thing. It was actually, it was a charity event for the local Humane Society. And, like all night, just shit that nobody could fake happening. So to the point where I ran out of that building like a little girl. Actually, there was a little girl in the building and she didn't run out of it. So, so Amber, ever have any, what are you? Are you agnostic? Are you a believer? Or are you a knower?
I am a knower.
Because you know about the Holy Spirit.
I do, but I've had my own experiences. I'm pretty open.
Were they? Now, are we talking about with ghosts?
That's for a later conversation.
That's the next podcast next week on.
That's the special edition. But yeah, my story was actually featured on What's Happening to Me.
It happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to me, not what's happening to me.
Oh.
Was Raj and Rerun gonna fly in?
That's my mama.
I can't breathe.
But I do the same. Like, I've gone into houses and I've had just feelings of oppression and knowing that it's not cool and I want to leave. So this particular instance, though, I was like 16. We moved into a house that was a former drug house. We've moved everywhere. My dad was a bit of a rolling stone. So this lady was murdered in the house. And
hot.
She was. And she would pester the shit out of me. She would like move my stuff around in my room. She'd open my door. But one particular night, she actually walked into my room and I saw her at the foot of my bed. And she used some type of energy to lift me out of the bed. I was like this, all the way up. And then
you were showing your boobs to the camera like that, just like that?
Just like that. And I was like thinking like, don't go into the light, Marianne, like poltergeist. And like instantly, like everything stopped and I fell back on my bed and I was completely numb from like head to toe. It was insane.
Awesome.
Oh, that's crazy.
I'll tell you how good
I understand how crazy that feeling is, even though it's not the same if it's real, but I have those lucid dreams where the reality is still perceived. And so that's a crazy thing to experience firsthand in your life.
See, those lucid dreams is where I believe I found God is in lucid dreams.
I can see
because
that.
I had a lucid dream that, you know, is as real as right now, probably even more real, that I made a journey through purgatory and found out some things in there. And I might tell the story one day. It's a long story because the dream lasted 6 days. And I only slept for about 5 hours. So
like you would nod in and out and it would pick up where you, like stopping a DVD.
No, I would literally go to sleep in the dream. Yeah, and that was the craziest thing. And I woke up and hit my knees and changed my life because there were some things revealed to me in there that I fully believed would have happened if I didn't if I didn't change the path I was on. So
that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, I'll tell that story one day.
Type dreams too. Like I've had like before any major tragedies happen in my family, I usually have dreams about 3 to 6 months ahead of time, and it's like clues. It's not exact things, but it's once the incident happens, I'm like, that was pointing to that. So it's really crazy. So I'm 100% believer with weird shit like that. So
we'll see where I try to stay agnostic in things like Lance was talking earlier and this is something that happened after wrestling with ghosts, because I ran into so many people that were like, yeah, man, you do a paranormal show, you know ghosts ain't real, right? And I'm like,
I hate that.
Just shut the fuck up. You know, it's just, you know, it's like you're just bullshitting everybody, right? I was like, yeah, hey, thanks for thinking that's my. But what the thing I started to kind of embrace was this theory that just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So when people talk about Bigfoot, I don't sit there and go, that's bullshit, because how do I know? I've never seen them.
Right. I use that on a daily with normal stuff. When people go, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'll say all the time, hey, I've never seen that, but I've never seen the Eiffel Tower. They don't mean it don't exist.
Right.
Just because I've never seen it. And that's so exactly. I love that. And it's that same way with, again, certain things that kids believe. So we want to keep that. But wrestling, I feel the same way. People, like as a mark, people come up and tell you it's fake. Again, just like certain things that, you know, are part of our childhood. And it comes to this. Either you know or you don't. And if I know, leave me the fuck alone. I'm still doing it. I'm still enjoying it. And if I don't, why are you ruining that for me? Like if I honestly believe that wrestling is real, and I don't use the term fake, but I know how it really is, you know, and I know the inner workings as a mark in the non-kayfabe era. That's how it works, right? We know the reality of it. So I either know or I don't. And if I don't, if I really believe that an undead cowboy is coming back to fight a voodoo warrior for some actual sport title, let me enjoy that. Yeah. Leave me the fuck alone.
Well, a lot of people get down on the fact that, you know, it's the kayfabe is broken era, and that they want to go, you know, that
I don't like it. I miss it. I wish I had never eaten the apple.
What I have found out though is, as a occasional and former professional wrestler of almost 27 years, is now that's really made people respect the performance over the show. You know, they were like what me and Vinny do or did with, you know, our heel personas and talking shit and goofing around and, you know, making these great video promos, and what we did in front of, you know, a lot of the things we did in front of the crowds. People respected that, and they liked the show. They were in for the show. They weren't in for, you know, but I don't like people getting too far backstage, because unlike Big and Funky Ghost Hunts, a real backstage at a wrestling show, especially the WWE, is boring as fuck.
Oh yeah. Even like live shows, I tell people that have never been, hey, I'm going to go see WWE this weekend. It's like, all right, do you know if it's a house show or if it's a taping? I don't know. Because if it's a house show, man, that's hard even for a wrestling fan. It is. You don't get a commentator talking, so like it's different. Even that is very hard to take. But I am glad in the post kayfabe era to see the respect given. The people to take the Montreal Screwjob, for example, just a famous, you know, this happened. We all saw behind the curtain. And so we went, oh, these are people at a job. Employers fuck other employers, don't they? They do. Employers will fuck employees. That happens all the time. So Deborah from HR plotted to get you fired because you're tuning in the break room? Check this out. On live TV, this guy screwed another employee. So I do like that there is a respect, but I miss the fun and character, that childish ideology in it. I do miss that.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. But and this is what I always try to preach to the guys, because, you know, I've trained wrestlers and I mentored a lot of guys after I left the training academy in Chicago and moved down here. I mentored a lot of people, and I always try to tell them is like, if you're good enough, people will forget.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do. You know? I do miss the era of the character. I grew up in the golden age. So I miss the air of the character again, the undead cowboy and the voodoo. And you can't have that in a post kayfabe era.
Well,
that stuff's all gone, and I miss that. I think that's
me and Vinny did something about 5 or 6 years ago that people legitimately thought was real. And we got into this year-long feud at KFW with the Southern Bad Boys. And right before the main event match, and the funny thing is the payoff was always going to be hilarious. But probably 3 weeks before the match, we had one of the Southern Bad Boys, or we had both the Southern Bad Boys go over to Vinny's house and beat the shit out of one of his taxis with baseball bats. People were calling the police. People were like, "This is beyond," it got nuts. And then I go do a video. I go do a video where, I can act, and I'm out there like, I'm actually down at the end of my driveway. Like, my car I just ran out of gas. I'm so mad. I'm out to get these Southern Bad Boys. And people are like, "Luke, I'm coming to get you. I'll bring some gas." And like, people legitimately believed that whole thing. And what's beauty is we want to put on a 1-year program with these two guys where we never really fight each other unless it's one-on-one matches or and when we finally face them at at KFW's WrestleMania, which is called Black Harvest, we want to lose to them in 30 seconds. People are expecting this huge blood feud, and we're like, no, we want to go out there and just have them just jump us and pin us. Nobody will expect that. Yeah, that's what me and Vinny always tried to do when we were allowed to tell a story, was make people forget that, because you could do all these fancy, but people do respect now the flippity dippity stuff. They respect the athleticism and everything, but there's very few people left out there that have the believability. And hey, we can merge this into what I was going to talk about with the Halloween show that me and the Big and Funky Productions did at one time in the past that got us kicked off of Fox 43 in Knoxville. Really? And got me and Vinny banned for 1.5 years from wrestling in the South.
Wow.
So, long story short, we were given the reins. Great American Wrestling was on Fox TV, and for some reason they decided that they were not going to tell any stories. They weren't going to do anything. They were just basically going to use it and play tapes of Ohio Valley wrestling out of Ohio or out of Louisville. And so, who's going to watch that? So we're talking. Me and Vinny are talking shit. We get online and we're talking shit, and we're like, this is the South. Nobody from the South wants to watch a Yankee wrestling show, and this sucks. This is stupid and everything. And so one guy named Troy, he goes, "You think you can do better? Come on."
Was this Mark in the South, or what was the, I vaguely remember this. There's a tagline for this. Chump in the South, something. I remember Vinny posting during this.
Oh, punch the South in the mouth.
That's
it. No, that came later. That was that came later. That was our return. Okay. That was our return, was punch the South in the mouth.
I remembered that.
Yeah, but we got, the guy Troy wasn't like, "Oh, fuck you guys. If you think you can do better, come do it." He goes, "Guys, if you think you can do better, please come do it." So we came in there and we revamped the whole show. We fired 90% of the roster. We did, we brought in guys that we could trust, we can work with. But then we were stuck with probably about 30 wrestlers that just weren't our guys. But none of them, except for one kid named Christian Lotus and Brad Cash, would do anything we asked them to do. And we're trying to convince people, like, look, this is a TV show. This is not a local show at a VFW. This is a TV show. This little angle I'm asking you to do, this little thing is going to pay off huge in 6 months. Nobody would listen to us. Then we got mixed in with Ricky Morton's school, and his guys are like, we're like, "Hey, we need you to cut a promo." Well, Ricky told us we're not cutting promos. Well, fuck you, and then I can't use you. And stuff like that. So eventually it got down to people were doing nothing to help us. So what we had to, yeah, we had to put the show together. So we're putting the show together at Vinny's house. All the footage that we could get, but we're realizing we can't tell these stories. We can't do anything. So me and Vinny are going to have to fill in all the gaps. So it basically became what we didn't want it to be. It became a big and funky wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually we're just tired of it. We're sick of people backstabbing. We're sick of people talking shit. We're sick of everything. So we do a Halloween episode, a greatest hits Halloween episode where it wasn't Halloween. It was a week before Halloween, and I played the stupid character that I thought it was Halloween. So I decided that I was going to do a different voice, different character as commentary, because we had to do the commentary for the matches. So we're sitting in his house doing commentary. So like one of them, I was commentating as Mr. Rogers, but I was the nature boy Fred Rogers, and I'm like,
I love that.
I'm like, oh, he's the special man. Can you say that? Special. He's got diabetes. Can you say insulin? And people dumped on it because it was in a match with like two really great wrestlers, and they were like, well, you took a shit all of them. I was like, yeah. So I called one match like Rodney Dangerfield. I was like, hey, what's he doing over there? And then I tried calling a match like Chewbacca, and I'm just sitting there.
Never mentioning it, never calling this out.
And it aired live, and me and Vinny were like, this is going to be the funniest fucking thing ever. And we buried the commissioner, like personally buried the commissioner on it because he was a fucking dork. And so we were like, this is going to be the best thing ever. Oh God. It got 10 minutes in, and the emails and messages and everything started just fly. What the fuck are you guys doing to the wrestling business? And then Fox 43 just canceled us.
That's so. You know what's sad? That's a very Andy Kaufman move, and that's as wrestling as you can get.
Yeah, and I will tell you this: the wrestlers took a shit on it. Hack loved it, but every wrestler took a shit on it. 80,000 viewers. 80,000 in East Tennessee. 80,000 viewers in East Tennessee watched that show.
That's a lot of butts and seats.
Yeah. That's 80,000 people in East Tennessee watched that show. and to this day, every wrestler that talks to me about that dumps on it. Every fan that talks to me about Great American Wrestling, oh, I loved it. That Halloween thing you guys did was fucking hilarious. But yeah, what are you gonna do? That's always been big and funky, man. You either get it or you don't. And for the most,
wrestling is a general rule as an art. When it comes to anything, a character, even back in the pre-kayfabe days, you got the Ultimate Warrior runs out. You get it or you don't. Big. Hooters waitress hot dog dude does his thing. You get it, you get it or you don't. And I think that's the art of wrestling in general.
Yeah, and said me and Vinny have no regrets about it. We did what we did. The only regret we have is that we weren't able to actually put the show together because people wouldn't let us. But that led us to Wrestling with Ghosts, which, because we're like, hey, we know how to do this now. We can edit. We can, and which led us to these movies, which even cooler. So, but yeah, that's always been our problem is you get it or you don't. So we get really loyal fans or people that hate our guts. And the biggest problem is it tends to be our peers, who we would consider our peers, hate what we do. In wrestling, in these movie things, you see most of the people that take a shit on the movie are people that want to make their own movies and don't. It's kind of like I always looked at it as it's kind of a jealousy of the hustle. We hustle,
right?
And people don't respect that hustle. It's people take a shit on what's her name, the bad baby girl, the Cash Me Outside girl. That girl's a multimillionaire. Oh, I respect that. I don't care what she does. She hustled her ass off and worked a bunch of horny dudes into paying her millions of dollars to show pictures of herself in a bikini.
I always felt that way about Marilyn Manson. I was never
Yeah.
liked the music, a couple songs here and there, but as a general, even when like the crazy early stuff was out, it's like not my thing. But brother, hats off to you for doing what you. This crazy gimmick has got everybody. Your name is in everybody's mouth, good or bad. You've got droves of children following you like the fucking Pied Piper. You've got moms and dads trying to crucify you like you were the Antichrist. Which again, no press is bad press. I never liked it, but hats off to you.
Well, and it's followed the same formula as Kiss. Kiss was a bunch of Jewish dudes from New York. Yeah, that put on face makeup and pretended like they were satanic, and people ate it up and bought everything they sold. And I can't tell you one Kiss song I think is good. You know, I don't like the band at all, but man, that hustle, that worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That's the same way in comedy. So many comedians will just shit on other comedians for success, and it's like, you know, you don't have to like it, but you could sort of respect it, because at some point you'll be there, and do you want everybody to shit on you the same way? Come on. So
yeah. Well, look at you know, people that can't be Dave Chappelle taking shots at Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Haven't even watched the special. Literally saw a headline and decided this is my chance. I can get more with my virtual signal than I can my actual talent.
And I will tell you, of all his specials on Netflix, it was the least funny.
I haven't even watched it. I've seen the clip everybody's hating on, so I've at least seen that and seen it in context from beginning to end.
Yeah, in context, the whole thing is, and Dave Chappelle's genius with this. And what he did was genius, because it was his last special, and it got the most heat of any of the specials.
Yeah,
it's his last and least funny, but it got the most heat. So Netflix is gonna, you know, his next deal is gonna be fucking huge because it got so much heat, and also he became he transcended. He became a hero to the right.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, it was definitely an interesting heel turn.
Yeah. Yeah, and it said he became, you know, and him and Joe Rogan are out following that same path where they were very left-wing guys, and they're now heroes to the right. And I think that's a great way to work, because I think they sense that in the world, you know, I was a liberal for a long time, and I had to leave. I'm unregistered as a Democrat. I can't be associated with that stupid shit. And I think they sense that the world is moving in that direction, where they're tired. Like, just throw it out. Where, you know, inflation's out of control, gas prices are out of control, everything's out of control, and my former party's looking to spend another $4.5 trillion. What? You know, I can't be associated with that. That can't be my thing. But I think Dave and Joe both looked at that and kind of went their direction and said, you know what, people are sick of this shit. And then they looked at themselves and said, you know what, I'm sick of this shit. So they, you know, but they're going to get heat from you. Like, there's that Australian chick that is mad at Dave Chappelle, and he called her out, you know, made a joke about her, saying she, you know, you have to admit she isn't funny. You know, I watched that girl's special a year ago, and I turned it off.
Gatsby thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I turned that off because she's not funny.
It just doesn't do it for me. It's more of a spoken word kind of thing.
Yeah.
As a stand-up comedian, we see a lot of like the TikTokers and YouTubes come to try and do stand-up comedy. Southern Mama is a good example. And it's like, hey man, we can't all go do videos. You can't all come to the stage. It's not the same art. And again, I use the word art. This came up recently. I think with the Dave Chappelle thing, no matter what side you came on, what it really comes down to is, and wrestling and stand-up comedy are actually like this. If people don't understand this, they are performing arts that people don't consider art, right? People don't give either a credit, and they are the only performing arts that cannot be done without an audience. They're real-time based, they're reactive, but they're planned. They are supposed to look like nothing's happening. It's supposed to look like it's just smooth, and we just thought of this off the top of our head, and it's happening au naturel in a instant flow. But so they have and people don't ever put that together, but the two arts have so much together. And in this case with Chappelle, if we could get to the point where people considered stand-up comedy art, number one, you would sit your ass down and stop heckling. Nobody heckles a play. You would stop asking me to tell you a joke because nobody finds out you're a painter and says, got it.
Right.
So nobody says, and finds out you're a painter and says, hey, draw me a picture, as if you had to prove it. But people
Yeah.
always want you to prove you're funny, right? Same way, it's the same mentality of people want to fight a pro wrestler. It's the same thing that makes people do that, or the same thing that tells you, tell me a joke. Why do I have to prove my art? You wouldn't do that to an actor. You wouldn't do that to a painter. You wouldn't do it to a poet, but you do it to us. And if we could get past the Chappelle thing to just consider stand-up comedy art, the conversation would be a different conversation entirely. We wouldn't have flame wars. We would have intelligent discussions the way we would have about a painting that is or isn't, could be interpreted this way. So if we could get it to this form where we consider it art, a totally different ballgame.
Yeah. And I think that, the Anna Gatsby's her name.
Yeah.
I think what Dave Chappelle did, by saying that, it was a joke. It was a straight up. He went for the joke. He wasn't be like, this bitch. He went for the joke. And people get offended by humor. But stand up comedy is hard. Yeah. Like I wrestled because I sucked at stand up. Vinny wrestled, and also, because Vinny's pretty good at stand up. I mean, he's actually good at. I don't think what I'd call Vinny does is stand up. He understands how to tell a story and roast the room is what he does.
That's comics come in all variation, and that's a type. I'm a storyteller by nature. That's what I do. I have these most comics, whether it's a one-liner or whatever, 1.5 to 2 minute jokes. My average joke is about 5 minutes because I tell a story. I'm not a punchline guy. I'm not a setup. But what do you get when you cross and those exist. But I'm a storyteller, and there are comics that can do all crowd work. But you're right, it is a difficult art form, and that's why I salute wrestling, because I know how hard my art form is, and I know they're so closely tied. And it's like, well, at least nobody punched me in the dick while I was halfway through my wiener joke, and I appreciate that.
Well, I'm a gig musician. That's what I do for a living now. I just grab my guitar and go but I like most of my. I do a lot of stand up in my.
The soft skills are the same. The soft skills are very much the same.
Yeah. And the reason I do that is because I've sat there and watched, and I'm not knocking any musician I've ever seen play, because I've learned from all of them, and I hope they've learned from me. But I don't like the just sit there and sing story. Or musicians.
The Rolling Stones. Talk to me. Tell me, are you ready, Cleveland? Interact with me in some form.
Well, yeah, some of the best singers and guitar players I've ever seen, they play great songs, but I'm not entertained. So I'm an entertainer, and I think that's what comedians need to be, and wrestlers need to be. Is I go out there and I will tell the same joke because I play for fresh crowds every night. I'll tell the same joke, but every night I have to make it look like I never told that joke before.
Correct, 100%. Stand-up comedy, I have to look like I'm thinking, and just like, what what's here's it, and it's not. I've planned this, rehearsed this. I put every word. Nice to see you too. I'm so sorry this went. I hope I'm not. I haven't. My ghost hasn't possession. But I've planned every beat of everything, but I have to make it seem like I'm not. I have to have a conversation with an audience that can't respond. I don't want you to put in your answer. It's rhetorical, but I have to phrase the conversation in a way where your pauses are universally filled in the minds of the collective. It's different. And wrestling's the same way, especially with the promos and characters. You're you're having a half a conversation that's being filled in the audience mind, and you have to make that happen. Even in the ring, you're telling a story by getting the pops and getting the boos and doing the Hogan. I mean, he genius for that. He pretty much single-handedly passes. But it's a storytelling aspect. If you did that every time you did a move, if Hogan slammed everybody, jumped up, people get so sick of it. But he knew when to do it because he's thinking of what's natural. When am I feeling the crowd's juice? Right when you told them you were going to have them feel it.
Well, yeah, and it's a lot of it comes with people say work the crowd. Everybody that's a performer and entertainer work the crowd, but you also got to learn to read the crowd.
Yes.
Like when tonight I played. There were I looked barely margaritas on the table. There's barely any drinks.
I can't tell if you're cutting out or I'm cutting out.
Okay, that was weird. Yeah, it disappeared from me. No, so these people are not there for live music. They're there to eat food. So what I do, when I see that crowd, I know that I'm just going to now just play, James Taylor songs and, some Neil Young songs. I'm going to lay back and just fade to the background, and then I'll get my tips. But when I'm up there, the same place, tomorrow night, it will be a party crowd.
Right.
And so then I'll get loud and stupid and tell bad stories. And that's something a lot of entertainers never pick up on, is they think they can work every crowd the exact same way.
No, they're not. Because as a stand-up comic, I can tell you this for sure. So you're 100% right. The worst is doing comedy, especially in a place where people don't want comedy. With music, it still drowns you out. My jokes depend on you listening, right? That's the whole thing. And so it is. If you've got a dinner crowd, I hate doing in restaurants, or a bar crowd that didn't pay to get in. If it's a bar, then they're just wandering in. I just came for beer. Shut the fuck up. It's like, I know you did, but I drove 3 hours to do these 15 minutes for maybe $20 in tips and a free beer myself. So can I have 15 minutes of your time? But that moment of, like you said, having to read the crowd, because you can do, and as a wrestler too, you can have, especially if you're on a tour with wrestlers doing, wrestling the same person in a couple towns. You can have a night where you didn't do your best. It didn't happen. You can have a night where you fucking killed it and the audience just loved it. You can have a night where you killed it and nobody gave a shit.
Yeah, I've had those.
Yeah, and that is hard, because you're like, I did the same joke yesterday. Yeah. I know I hit every beat. Yes, last time I did it, I forgot that one punchline, but last night, back to back, Friday, Saturday, I can do the same joke with the same momentum, all the same variables in my side of the equation. Crickets and fucking standing O.
Yeah,
crazy.
That was last Thursday and Friday. I play, when I play at a bar on Sundays at Shamrocks. People will literally throw money at me. I have to turn down offers for sex the all night, and then I go and play a dinner show, and it's like Thursday, like last Thursday and Friday, I would tear it down, play the most entertaining, gifted music things I could play, and I'd get done, and the ring would stop, and there would be nobody even looking at me. And I was like, oh well, back to playing some James Taylor. But wrestling's a little different with that, because as far as like you have to treat the crowd exactly the opposite of what you think you would treat the crowd. If you got most wrestlers will say, if there's a shut up and wrestle crowd, the crowd that just wants, hey, just stop talking and wrestle, damn it. Well, then don't wrestle. Tease that you're going to wrestle and keep talking shit. Keep walking and talking, because what are you doing? You're aggravating the crowd now.
Mouth water. You're getting you're getting them wound up.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about a wrestling crowd, is you almost always, as if you're the heel, you want to give them exactly the opposite of
right.
As the baby face, it's real easy. I mean, that's why I hate being a heel, but I'm really good at it because nobody else is.
It's what I would want to do.
Yeah,
like I have a bad guy wrestler character persona that I do. Blackjack Cadillac, the old school outlaw, where Hollywood meets honky tonk, and it's one of my favorite things to do, because it's my tribute to '80s bad guy wrestlers that I grew up with, and it just seems so fun. Being a baby face seems boring.
Well, see, that it is, and that's what people don't get is if you're a good guy, if you're a baby face, a good guy, you are only as good as your heel.
Yeah.
The heel sets the tone, sets the pace. But this day, you know, through most of through about 2008 to 2018, it was everybody wanted to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, all the faces acted like, you know, like there was
bear, two bears, three bears. What?
But that's, again, I'll go back to Vinny, is where he was the master. Is nobody played him. Vinny Vineyard as a wrestler was about the only wrestler that I ran into in Tennessee that was willing and happy and flourishing as the cowardly heel. You know, everybody wanted to be a badass. All the heels wanted to be badasses. All the faces wanted to be badasses. And Vinny would act like a badass and run away. And that was, you know, it comes down to
great. That's the best. That's the Andy Kaufman. That's if you want to get an idea of what the epitome of a bad guy, see somebody doing a tribute to it, and that's Andy Kaufman. That's exactly all the best. Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, they were all that exact thing.
Yeah.
I got the request for Austin. They were all that. They were the runaway and hide kind of guy.
Well, that's where everybody talks about their favorite wrestlers growing up, and you know, Vinny's big on, you know, the Four Horsemen, things like that. I loved a guy that I think wrestled for 5 minutes, and that was Bobby Heenan.
Yeah,
I thought Bobby the Brain Heenan, nobody could get heat like that guy, and he didn't wrestle. He was the commentator or a manager, and that dude just would, you know, I was like, that's what I want to do, because being a good guy is easy, sort of, if you got a great heel. You know,
that's the way it is with anything. Nobody buys Batman versus Kite Man comics, but every time the Joker shows up, those issues sell out.
I remember my first wrestling, my first show that I wrestled was or by myself, where I wasn't part of the training group and everything. And I went out, and it was in Elgin, Illinois, at this beautiful ballroom, and I didn't know that. You know, I thought that a good guy walks out and goes, yeah, and the crowd cheers. I thought that's how wrestling worked. And I didn't realize that I had been going out with much, you know, I've been tagging and part of a stable with much better wrestlers and heat getters than me. So the reason we got the cheers and the boos is because of that. But I went out onto the stage, and I was announced as the special enforcer for the night. And I walk out, and I lift my arms up and go, yeah! And the crowd just, you know, 500 people just, who the fuck are you? Who cares? And then I realized there's certain things that, you know, like I could get over because I'm 6'8".
Right.
But I was up on a stage. People couldn't see that I was 6'8". You know, it was just me walking out. You couldn't see. There was no, you know, like I should have had a short person out there or something, you know, somebody, so people could see that I was a monster. And I could have got a little bit over. So, but after that, I was smart enough to go backstage. Like, dude, they hated me. Turn me. You know, they said they hated my guts. Turn me heel.
Yeah.
Let me, you know,
far more fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like that. And to Michael asking about the Austin there, yes, I'll be happy to do it. It came from doing the Stone Cold from the roast of Hulk Hogan. Knox Comedy used to do parody roasts where we did the roast of Axl Rose, and we all came in character. I did Rob Halford for that. I used to be the bald guy. I was the bald guy with goatee for every roast. So my first one was Cold. So I bought the wrestling trunks. I got the vest with no shirt. I got the knee pads, the shaved head. And I came out and I did the whole thing. And I did my 1 beer, got my 2 beers, my 3. And I've loved it. And so I love doing Stone Cold. On my own podcast, I used to do it all the time. Because I like to do impressions, and I'm not great at them. I do a few hand of good ones. That one, Alex Jones, Tom Waits, a few handful of things that tickle me. And so
freaking gay frogs.
All right. So I don't want to go too far into this because I have friends over the FBI that have messages straight from Hillary. And if you go to my website and you pick up these supplements, your brain waves can perceive them because it's all chemical made from comets and a little bit of blueberries. But you can pick that up over my website if you want to go there. So
see, the weird thing about Alex Jones is he used to, the first time I heard him, there was this tiny little, it's a shed of a radio station.
Oh yeah.
That's about a block from my house here. And when I say a block, there's nothing in between it. I live in the mountains. And but it was probably 2001, 2002, and he was, going on his head, he got that voice and everything. And then one day I found out that he's the exact same age as me. And I was like, I think I was like 26 at the time.
You would be a great wrestling heel.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's, I thought he was 50, 60 years old the way he sounded and everything. And I found out he was my same exact age.
No, that's that just gravelly because he's been eating all these great gay frog legs. And there's just,
That's the weird age when you realize that soldiers and football players are children.
Oh, blows my mind.
Yeah. They're kids. Soldiers and
that feeling. I suggest never working in a bar, which I know you've done. And, I know you've ID'd people, and you get to see these IDs, and you go, "You can't come in." Oh,
you can come in.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That is the most soul-crushing age moment, especially for anybody our age who spent part of their 20s bouncing because we're over 6'2", we're big and ugly, and they went, "Oh, you're big and ugly? Are you free at night? Great, you're hired. Here you go. Do you work for beer and $8 an hour?" I do.
100%. How much beer are we talking? That's I still do that with music shows, man. They're like, "Man, I can only pay you $50." It's like, how many draft beers can I have?
Dude, at comics, the same way. I live in Morristown, so I'm away from anything. So I have to drive an hour to an open mic. So I drive an hour to do 5 minutes, but it's that one free beer where you're like, all right, I get that, worth it. Brewery shows are the best. For a comic, brewery shows are the greatest because most bars will give you a beer or two or even give you a tab. Sometimes it's a discount. But brewery shows are like, yeah, you guys get beer. Cool, how much? We make it like it's good. What do you want? Like,
I put a limit on myself because I got to drive home and I play 3 to 4 hour shows and I allow myself 3 beers.
That's intense. Oh wow, your ratio is better than mine. I do pretty because I'm not a drinker. I'm not a big drinker. I do 2, one before the show. I call the Nerve Killer, and I take one on stage with me. Hey, with it to pauses and beats in between jokes, and it allows me to keep my throat a little wet. So I have one before the Nerve Killer and one on stage, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Well, I have Asperger's syndrome, and it's scientifically proven that a 0.02 blood alcohol content makes you like a normal person.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's scientifically proven that. Kirby, what are you doing over there? How you doing? So I guess we're going to go a little long because now we got other people on here, and so this is awesome. But we're talking about entertainment and some secrets and behind the scenes stuff of entertainment on our Halloween spooky episode. So let's go back to a couple things I want to ask Kirby and I want to ask Tracy. I said that there's 3 types of people when it comes to ghosts. There's those that don't believe, those that do believe, and those that know. Kirby, what kind are you?
I know.
Okay, so why?
Because I've seen it.
I know, but expound.
Like I've seen them walking around my home as if like it's their property, and it kind of gets annoying. I've had words with them before. I mean, I to me, it's like real life. So just they.
Now we lost Lance.
Do what now?
It's only temporary. I put a message in here. I'm just going to you're good. You've got somebody else to cover the entertainment for a moment. I'm using this time to slide out of the spotlight. I will be back. And I just figured, I would protect my family from wandering in the background, make sure nobody gets out of the shower. I don't want child pornography here by accident. One of my little ones will come running in and go, "Hey, Mom!" and have one of those moments while I'm not here. So I'll be back. Love yous all.
Right. Accidental child pornography. Justin Richards would watch. Hey. So, Tracy, same question.
I expect that they probably exist, but I've never actually seen anything or felt anything, and I think I'm a dampener.
Yeah, you are a dampener, and which is weird. As somebody, I don't talk about it much. The only time I really talk about it is on these shows, but I'm heavily empathic, and that comes with the Asperger's. Asperger's is an overload of empathy, and I have been in places, and like when we were at Brushy Mountain, and now we lost Kirby.
Gracious.
Or Brushy
I'm
Mountain,
not
where I'm like,
I think we're alone now.
I'm back.
I'm like,
I'm back.
there we are. Where I was like, oh man, there's something like, okay, I went to the guard tower where you and Vinny filmed your scene, and I was like, holy shit, this place is, there's something weird going. There's like a fight. It felt like there was a fight going on in that guard tower, and I'm in there by myself setting up lights and stuff. And then you walked in and it disappeared.
I'm such a shining light.
You're such a force of good with your that hat. You look like
Isn't it
Toad.
fantastic?
You look like Toad. You look like you're about to come in third place on Rainbow Road. It's just, it's. I dig it. Don't get me wrong. I just realized I'm still wearing my.
Somebody today. I said I've got the headgear, so that means I've got the power, right?
I just realized I'm still wearing my hat under my headphones.
Where's your booby beret?
It's over there. But yeah, I had rushed home. Oh, look at him.
There's she back.
Yeah, she her audio isn't working.
Sad face.
Dang it.
I got in and got onto this as soon as I sat down. I forgot to take my hat off, but that's great. So we're doing a little wrestling with ghosts action November 13th somewhere in North or South Carolina. And I think Amber's going. Tracy, are you going to this?
I might. I've got a thing on the 16th, but I'm gonna try.
Well,
my
we're only
best
going for
friend
the day.
is coming up.
Yeah, we're only going for the day. And Kirby, I can't wait. I still hope that one of these days you get to move into this area because I want to be alone in the dark with you.
Oh gosh.
My plan is still to move. I have just got to get myself back in Arkansas to get that stuff set and move.
That's the most important thing is taking care of family business. That's always in our, like, Vinny's off doing his, he's taking care of family business, so he can't be doing the things like he normally does with us, and it's way more important. And I don't expect you or him or Tracy or anybody to put their family aside for. We can make out.
Hot baby.
It's weird. Okay, hey, threesome. I'm in.